Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. So today guys, I'm going to be doing my February wrap up. I am in kind of a different location. Let me know if you like this filming location or not. If you don't like it, it's not gonna hurt my feelings, so don't worry about that. I'm just kind of trying to mix it up, try something new. I don't know, I like sitting in my little purple chair right here. It's comfortable. So let me know if you like this or you want me to go back to my normal filming, which is either, you know, with my bedroom background or sitting on the floor in my living room / kitchen area. Let me know which background you like best because I'm trying to figure out a consistent filming location and it's getting kind of difficult. So just let me know in the comments what you think. And let's go ahead and get into my wrap up. First, we can get into the stats. I read 15 books in the month of February. That is 4,330 pages, which is a lot of pages. And here is the mood breakdown. Pretty standard, what I always kind of read, like dark, emotional, mysterious, things like that. But I actually did read a few more lighthearted books this month than I usually read. So I feel like because I went through so much this month with the winter storm coming through Texas and me and Cameron's travel plans kind of getting messed with. And if you don't know my little baby puppy you always see, he's not a baby, but he's kind of an old man. But Mochi, my little tripod guy that you guys see running around in the background of my videos all the time, we actually were in the ER with him for like most of the night, one night this month, because he actually got bitten by something on one of our walks and he had temporary paralysis. So it was really, really scary and I think we just needed a lot of escapism this month. So I had a lot of lighthearted reads. By the way, Mochi's fine now. He's making a full recovery at home, so totally fine. As always, I read mostly fast-paced books, few medium-paced, and very little slow-paced books. Mostly books in that 300 to 500 page range. That's my sweet spot. A few shorter books and then none over 500 pages. I would literally never. All fiction books, no nonfiction this month. And for my genre breakdown, I actually read much more contemporary and romance this month than I read thrillers, which is pretty surprising for me. But I read a lot of contemporary, a lot of romance, a lot of YA, and then comes in the thriller and mystery. I actually have erotica on there because I did read 50 Shades of Grey this month, but the rest of it is pretty standard. And then finally, for my star ratings, I had 3 2-star books and a 2.5 star, which is, I never have that many low rated books. I also had a 3-star and 2 3.5 stars, but I did have 5 4-star books and 3 5-star books. So kind of all evened out. The average rating was a 3.57 stars. And just a few quick stats that Storygraph doesn't generate for me. As for the authors I read this month, I had 13 books by female authors and 2 books by male authors. And of the 15 books I read this month, 3 books were written by authors of color. And as for the method of reading these books, I read 1 via ebook, 8 audiobooks, and 6 physical books. Now, the reason I read so much via audio this month was because me and Cameron were trapped across the country, away from our home and away from my bookshelves. So the only way that I could keep reading while we were, you know, stuck over there was by getting audiobooks through my library app on my phone since I was away from my shelves. So that's why I had so many audiobooks this month. Now that we're done with the stats, I will go through all of the books that I read this month, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with my lowest rated books and work my way up to the 5-star books. So actually the first book that I read this month was 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. I read this for my Valentine's Day reading vlog. If you guys missed that, I will go ahead and link it everywhere up there down below. I gave this book 2 stars, but I think the vlog is really, really hilarious. A lot of you guys really liked it and said that it was cheering you up on Valentine's Day. I know it can feel like there's a lot of pressure that goes along with this Hallmark holiday, and you can feel really sad if you're single on Valentine's Day. So I wanted to give you guys something funny and lighthearted to watch on Valentine's Day. If you need a good pick-me-up or you just want to laugh, I will link that vlog. You can also get all of my thoughts and hear me drag this book in that vlog. So yeah, I gave it 2 stars. If you don't know what it's about a young girl who is quickly seduced by a powerful and dominant CEO. And they go into a contractual sexual relationship where one is the dom, that would be Christian Grey, and one is the sub, and that would be Anna. And this bitch really gets on my nerves. So if you want to hear me rant about this 2-star book, go ahead and watch that vlog. Other than that, I don't feel like I need to waste any more breath talking about it. The next 2-star book I read this month was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. And this is the first YA fantasy book I have ever read in my adult lifetime. So I was really interested in how I would like it. Obviously, I rated it 2 stars. I didn't like it that much, but I did like some elements of it. So if you want my full thoughts, again, I did read this one for a vlog. I was reading Sahar from Basically a Bookish Reads favorite books. So you can go watch that vlog and get all of my thoughts on A Curse So Dark and Lonely if you are interested in that. And then the last 2-star book I read this month was Confess by Colleen Hoover. Colleen. Girl. We have a very mixed relationship, Colleen and I. Confess, I can say with confidence, is complete and absolute trash. I did not enjoy this book at all whatsoever. I almost gave it a 1 star. I didn't like it that much, but it was pretty fast paced. I got through it pretty quickly. It was entertaining, and I was wondering what was going to happen in the story, so I feel like that warrants a 2 star, but the actual story itself, I really did not like. This is supposed to be a romance between this girl who actually loses who she feels is her soulmate really, really young. Her boyfriend has some kind of terminal illness and dies.
Oh, she passed away? Oh. All right.
And so she kind of gives up on love, and then she ends up by chance running into this man on the streets, and they end up falling in love. So that's what I thought the story was gonna be. It's also called Confess because the guy that she falls in love with is an artist, and he makes paintings based on people's confessions. And the confessions that were used in the book were actual confessions that Colleen Hoover got from her readers. So that was really intriguing to me. I really thought this was gonna be a great emotional classic Colleen Hoover romance with that little confession element thrown in. I thought I was going to absolutely love it. Sounds really intriguing. This romance read like a thriller. Like a stalker, Joe Goldberg kind of thriller. Let me just let that sink in for a second. The love interest was literally Joe Goldberg.
Beck, you've got a stalker.
Like, he was creepy, he was stalkery. The things that he was saying about her was like,
she doesn't even know that I'm perfect for her.
and I was like, I'm literally scared. And then at some point in the middle of the book, there was a love triangle between our main character and the confession artist man, and also her soulmate who passed away's brother, who wants to come into her life now and be her boo. And it was really uncomfortable. The brother was really scary and abusive, and then the other love interest was really stalkerish and creepy. So I was like, girl, leave both of these men in the dust. This is quite literally the worst love triangle you could ever be in your life. 2 stars. Nothing else needs to be said. The 2.5 star book that I read this month was Come Find Me by Megan Miranda. I have a very mixed relationship with Megan Miranda as an author as well. Her adult thrillers I tend to really enjoy, but her YA thrillers just always miss the mark for me. And Come Find Me is a YA thriller about 2 teenagers, a boy and a girl, who end up having these strange occurrences. Both of their brothers end up going missing, and they have these strange paranormal sci-fi type of interactions that they think might be coming from their missing brothers. So they end up connecting on like a Reddit kind of forum for people who are interested in the otherworldly paranormal things, and they get together and try to solve both of their mysteries. Maybe they're connected, and you know, that premise sounds really good, but it just honestly fell flat. The twists and the reveals in this thriller were not what I was wanting at all. It was really predictable, if I'm being honest, and it did that thing that all YA thrillers do that I fucking hate, which is put in a romance where it doesn't need to be a romance. Can we please have a YA thriller with no romantic element? None. I would love that. Please, YA thriller authors, if you're listening, do not make a romance between your main female character and your main male character. We don't want it. It's distracting. We want the mysteries. We want the twists. We want the thrills. We don't care about it. Also, this main female character was just an absolute brat. Like, she keeps lying to her uncle, who's like her guardian. She is lying to her like little boy partner in crime. She's going off and doing things on her own, and she's like,
I can do it. I'm fine.
girl, no, you're not fine. You're 16. You need to like, stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
However, I did add an extra half star. I was gonna rate it a 2, but I really liked those sci-fi elements. It was really sciencey. I feel like you kind of had to really listen to understand some of those sci-fi elements, and I'm finding that I'm really enjoying sci-fi elements to my thrillers, so that earned the extra half star. The 3-star book I read this month was Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This is friends to lovers. Basically, Josh and Hazel met each other in high school, and Hazel had this like big crush on Josh. She kind of like idolized him and put him on a pedestal. Then later in their adult life, they end up kind of running in the same social circles and reconnecting. And Hazel is like this very quirky girl, and Josh is like this straight-laced guy. So it's supposed to be like a fun little quirky romance that happens from there. I thought I was really gonna like this book, and I did in fact enjoy the romance. The romance element I did like. I do enjoy friends to lovers, so I liked that element of it. They're also kind of reconnecting as friends before they fall in love again, which I do like that as well. And they were kind of setting each other up on these blind dates that they go together on, but then they end up liking spending time with each other more than the blind dates. So it's like, I really liked those cute little fun, lighthearted aspects of the book, and that was what I was wanting out of the book. The main problems I had really came in with Hazel's characterization. She's really a not like other girls kind of character. She's always talking about how she's so quirky and she's so weird.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in.
But some of the quirks that Hazel had were not just, you know, personality quirks. It was, she's actually like irresponsible and horrible and not a real person. And if this was a real person and I met her in real life, I would probably hate her. She's so irresponsible about her living situation, about keeping her apartment clean, about dealing with things in a timely manner. She's like always running late, and I just do not like those type of people. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a personality quirk. You are in charge of showing up somewhere on time, and I just think it's unprofessional and lazy if you don't do that.
Sorry.
No offense, like, you are in control of that. That's not a personality thing. Anyone can show up on time to something if they really want to. Same with cleanliness. You can keep your apartment clean. You can be responsible. You can be a fucking adult because you are an adult woman. So like, keep your place clean, be responsible, take care of the things you need to take care of. This girl also owns like 1 million pets. I'm not even kidding. At one point in the book, she has like 7 or 8 pets in an apartment. First of all, that would never be allowed in real life. Second of all, that's just irresponsible. You can't possibly care for all of these pets. Like, you're not a stay-at-home pet mom. You have a job. You're leaving all of these pets cramped together in your apartment all day. So that just made me really mad. And I honestly really loved Josh's character, and it really dug into why he is the way he is and how his family shaped him and his culture shaped him, because he's an Asian American. So he has this weird kind of pressure as the oldest man in his family to take care of his parents when they're older and be the successful sibling. So I really enjoyed Josh's dynamics and digging into his characterization, but every time we would go into Hazel's, oh my god, I wanted to bash my head against the wall. I hated her as a character. Now moving on to my 3.5 star books. The first one I have is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallero. This is a YA mystery that follows the great grandson and granddaughter of Watson and Holmes. They end up going to the same private school and a murder takes place there and they're being framed for it. So they kind of have to team up to clear their names, even though they really don't want to be that stereotype of like Watson and Holmes back at it again. They're kind of forced into it. This was a really fun YA mystery. It honestly surprised me and I did really enjoy it. Up until the end, those reveals just weren't as dark and twisted as I was wanting them to be. But I really enjoyed the epilogue that we got from Charlotte Holmes' point of view because the rest of the book is all from James Watson's point of view. So I did like getting Charlotte's POV at the end. I don't think I'm going to continue with the series, but overall, it was all right, 3.5 star. Again, I read it in Reading Sahar's Favorites, that vlog. So go ahead and watch that if you want more in-depth thoughts. And the other 3.5 star book I read in the month of February was The Wrong Family by Taryn Fisher. I did enjoy this in the moment. I listened to it via audio, and when you're just listening to an audiobook that's a thriller and it's like,
Oh my god, the secret's of lies. This is so fast paced. I'm really having fun.
like it's a good little time, right? But then I reflect on it, you know, a couple days later when I'm writing my review, and I'm like, do I remember any shred of what happened in this thriller? No. Literally, I'm trying really hard.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, no, I remember. Oh god, I remember. Okay, so I did like the concept for this book. It's basically about this suburban family who has a lot of secrets that they're hiding from each other, but the one person who knows everyone's secrets is the old homeless woman who is actually hiding out in their basement. She lives there. They don't know, but she knows their secrets, and she ends up kind of involving herself in their lives, exposing their secrets, kind of fucking with them as she's living there. Nobody knows she's living there. It's really crazy. It reminds me of Goodnight Beautiful by Amy Malloy, but done better without the like cliche and a ripoff of a Stephen King book. So I really did like the concept and the execution. It was just really forgettable, so I had to give it a 3.5 star. Next up, I have my 4-star books, and we do have a lot of these, so buckle in. The first 4-star book I read this month was The Bride Test by Helen Huang, and I really enjoyed The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, which is why I picked up this one. This romance follows Kai, who is an autistic Asian man just trying to live his life, get his bag, be his little accountant self, and not deal with social interaction because he doesn't like that. It makes him uncomfortable. He just wants to do math and live his life, and that's fine. But his very strict Asian mother wants him to be married, so she ends up going to South Korea, I think is the country where she goes to, and she finds Esme, who is just working in a hotel, and she's like, hey, do you want to be my son's mail order bride? Basically, it'll get you a free ticket to America so you can take care of your family back here. Sound good? And she agrees, and Esme and Kai end up falling in love, even though Kai is really not open to the idea of being in a relationship. He really thinks he's not capable of love.
Which is like, Kai, no, you're literally the sweetest man ever. Can you literally stop?
And Esme learns a lot about herself and what she values along the way as well. It was such a sweet romance. I really enjoyed the story. It made me cry. Literally, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. I also really like hearing about their cultural differences kind of between a more westernized Asian person and then an Asian person like that comes to America straight here with, I think she's on like a work visa is why she is able to come over to America, and seeing the differences between them, I just thought was so interesting how westernization can really take away from the really ingrained culture of people that come from other countries. But the reason why this was a 4-star instead of a 5-star was because some points of the book, the miscommunication got to like a level that just didn't seem believable to me. And I feel like some of the miscommunication was due to Kai's autism, which is definitely understandable. There are gonna be communication barriers between a relationship with somebody with autism, but some of it just seemed a little bit unbelievable to me. Obviously, I don't know because I'm not an autistic person and this is an Own Voices story, so I don't want to take away from that. It was just went on a little bit too long for my taste, but I'm happy they obviously end up together in the end. That's the point of a romance, and I really did enjoy this book and I recommend it. The next 4-star book I read was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I really liked this book. It's a sci-fi thriller, kind of exploring multiverses and different dimensions, and I don't want to say too much other than that because I wish I would have gone into this book knowing not as much as I did. I think it will have a bigger impact on you that way, and the reason why I gave it a 4-star instead of a 5-star was because I actually went in knowing too much, and I feel like I kind of spoiled myself almost just because it was so predictable once you hear the full synopsis. So I would really recommend not reading that synopsis and just going in blind and reading this book. And if you want to know like my full in-depth thoughts about that, this was the other book that I read for Reading Sahar's Favorites. So again, vlog is linked, go watch it. Another 4-star book I read was Confessions by Kanae Minato, and this book is literally insane. Insanity. So how do I even go about describing? Basically, you're at a school assembly, right? So are you with me? You're at a school assembly. Oh, and this takes place in Japan. So you're at like a very competitive school in Japan. And this teacher is up there giving her resignation speech almost. She's kind of like moving on from the school. So she's saying goodbye to the students. Her daughter was found dead in the school. So she is kind of explaining how that happened and why that is playing into her leaving. And through this speech, she is exacting revenge on the people who she thought killed her daughter, who were in the assembly, who were students at the school. And then after that chapter, you get, I think, 5 more chapters. It's a pretty short book from other students, parents, teachers at the school, and you're kind of putting together the story of this little girl's murder and how it happened, and how when you assume things and try to exact revenge, maybe you're not, you know, doing the right thing, or maybe you are. Like, this book is full of moral dilemmas and I love that, so I definitely like that aspect of it. The characters are literally insane. The POV switching is amazing. Y'all know I love that, and this did have a couple POVs that were from a second person point of view, which I love that in my thrillers as well. So I really liked it. There was a huge crazy twist at the end of each chapter, but I felt like that formula kind of got old by like the 3rd and 4th chapter, and by chapter 4, 5, and 6 I was like, okay, this chapter is going on way too long. I just want to know the big twist at the end. So it did start to drag a little because of that formula. I feel like that works in like a John Mars book because the chapters are so short that it's like boom, boom, boom. But these chapters were really, really long. Even though there were so few of them, they were pretty heavy chapters. So when you're kind of wading through all this information and you know that there's a big payoff at the end, you kind of want to speed through it to get to that big twist. And that's the reason why I gave it 4 stars instead of 5. I still really love this book and I highly recommend it. If you like crazy thrillers, you will love this one. I also rated Brunch and Other Obligations by Susan Nugent 4 stars this month. I think I've talked about this book a million times on my channel, but it's a really light and funny contemporary story about 4 friends who are very unlikely. They all had one friend in common, and she ends up passing away.
Oh, she passed away? Oh. All right.
And her last wish as she passes away was that her three friends who were all friends with her but weren't close with each other become close with each other by having brunch together once a month. So it goes into these three women who are so different from each other and how they actually help each other get through their grief. And it's so fun and light and funny. Like, this is a funny book. It's very relatable, and it goes into these deeper themes of grief and the meaning of life and being alone, and it tackles them in a really approachable way. So I really enjoyed this book and I highly recommend it. And the last 4-star book I read, oh my God, my bun is literally coming apart at the seams. Did nobody want to tell me? Hold, please hold. Oh my God, I can't believe nobody told me my bun was falling out. Y'all are all fake friends. It's good enough, it's good enough, it's fine, it's fine. Just don't look at it if it makes you mad, because I don't want to redo it. So anyway, the last 4-star book that I read this month was the Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams, or Lissa K. Adams. And my wonderful friend Meredith Elizabeth on BookTube sent me this book as a congratulations gift for reaching 1K. So thank you, Meredith. I was really anticipating reading this book, and I'm so happy that she sent it because I devoured it immediately and it was exactly what I needed. I really loved this light little fun romance. Although it did get pretty emotional at the end, which I didn't expect, and I did cry at the end of this book. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows this baseball player, and he's kind of like a hot shot out here, but he's having problems with his wife. His wife actually asked him for a divorce, and one of the big problems in their relationship is that she's never orgasmed when they've had sex. Not such a hot shot now, are you, baseball buddy? So it's about him joining this romance book club of all these other like hotshot guys who read romance books to try to improve their marriages. And it's really funny, it's really sweet, and it's like a second chance romance. So this was super fun. I don't know if I'm going to continue the series because I've heard really not great things about the other books in this series, but I did like this first edition. It had like the very big Hallmark grand gesture ending, which I love in my romance books. So pretty solid 4-star, wonderful, light, fun read, exactly what I needed this month. Now, finally, we are to my 3 5-star reads that I had this month, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys about them. The first one is The Truth About Melody Brown by Lisa Jewell. Obviously, Lisa Jewell is my favorite author, and I'm really digging into her backlist. She has a lot of contemporary books that I feel like not a lot of people talk about, that were written kind of in the 2010s, early 2000s, and I just love every piece of fiction that she writes, so I will pick it up. And this one is definitely no exception to that rule. I absolutely loved this contemporary story. It's about a woman named Melody Brown who can't really remember her past. She feels like she's kind of been lied to all of this time, and she's kind of trying to unravel that. And as she does, she is piecing together all of the crazy trauma that happened to her that she actually forgot when she was younger. And the inciting incident for remembering all of this trauma is actually because she goes on a date with this man, and he ends up taking her to like this hypnotist show after they get dinner, and she literally gets hypnotized and remembers like little bits and pieces and has like a freak out moment on stage in front of all these people, and then goes home and has an existential crisis because she's figuring out she went through all this trauma in her childhood. It is like some really dark, convoluted family dynamic stuff going on in her past, which is pretty typical to all of Lisa Jewell's books, and I love that about her books. So if that's something that you jive with, like I like it, I would highly recommend picking up this book. If you like dark, emotional, family drama style contemporaries like Celeste Ng, I think you would also like The Truth About Melody Brown as well. It has a little bit of Celeste Ng vibes, but it is a little bit lighter than that and kind of funny in that way that Lisa Jewell is like dry and kind of darkly funny sometimes. I just can't say enough good things about this book. I absolutely loved it. please pick it up. I know it's not something that anybody else is going to talk about, so I'm going to be the booktuber that says, please go read this book. So please listen to me and please go read this book. It would really mean a lot to me. I really like this book. Okay, thank you. The next 5-star book that I read this month was Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. This YA thriller really took me by surprise. It is loosely based on the R. Kelly situation. So it basically tells the story of a young Black woman. She is trying to be like an aspiring singer, and this very wealthy, famous, and powerful producer kind of takes her under his wing and says, you know, you can come on tour with me. I really like your voice. I think we can make you famous. And they end up having this very inappropriate, imbalanced power dynamic relationship that our main character, Enchanted, is not grown enough to know that it's creepy. She is just thinking that she's getting all of this attention from a famous person, and it really dives into the actions of this evil person who takes advantage of young children and is kind of backed up by the systemic factors around him and the music industry and all of that. It makes you really, really angry. It made me really emotional. I cried multiple times while reading this book. It's extremely powerful and really sheds light on why laws of consent exist and why you cannot give consent until you are 18 years old. There's also much more thriller elements to this book than I was expecting. It's very much written like an intriguing and mysterious thriller, which I don't know why I just wasn't thinking that it was gonna play out that way. I thought it was more gonna be emotional and dark contemporary, but it is very much a thriller, and I really appreciated those aspects. And yeah, I think everyone should read this book. It should be required reading. It makes you really angry, but sometimes you need to read about real things and have real emotions about it, so highly recommend. And finally, the last book that I read in the month of February is my favorite book that I read in the month of February, and I think I have a new favorite author, you guys. Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. Now, I have to give a shout out to Caroline Johnson, one of my favorite booktube friends, for recommending this book. This absolutely blew my socks off. It is so weird, so quirky, so trippy, so just I don't even know what to call this book. Contemporary, dark horror, magical realism is how I would describe this book. It's about a model who gets into this horrifying accident that disfigures her entire face, so she can no longer be a model. And she's kind of trying to find herself again and find her new identity. And she gets swept up in this world of other quirky, weird characters that are also trying to find themselves along the way as well. So it's very interesting. It's super weird, super trippy. Kind of reminds me of Bunny by Mona Awad. So if you like that, definitely check out this. I just had a wonderful time. This entire reading experience was perfect. I cannot speak highly enough about this book. It's wonderful. It's also told out of order. Like, you don't start at chapter 1. You start at like chapter 30 something, and at the end of each chapter, it'll say like, now please jump to this chapter. So you never know how far you are in the story. You really have to suspend that how many pages have I read kind of thing, and just let yourself get lost as you're skipping around to all these different chapters, told in such a unique way. It's so innovative, and this was written in the 90s. Like, why isn't everyone talking about this book? Like, this, I think, should be a modern classic, in my opinion. It's amazing. There is pretty intense discussion in this book about gender identity and sexuality and the fluidity that can come with that. And some of those discussions, specifically about trans people, are a little problematic. Obviously, our author here, Chuck Palahniuk, was not as educated in the 90s as we are today in 2021. So just take that with a grain of salt. I do think a lot of it is handled well in the context of the story, but there are a few things that are said that, you know, put my alarm bells up just a little bit. But I don't think it took away from the story, because these characters are so fucked up themselves that having these flawed beliefs I feel like the characters might actually think that. So, you know, just keep that in mind if you decide to pick up this book. The last thing I want to say about this book, I know I've been talking about it for a while, is it really has a special place in my heart now, because as I was reading the very first chapter, which obviously isn't chapter 1, it was like chapter 30 something, I was like, why is this book from the 90s quoting Panic at the Disco? And so I hopped on Google and I looked up Invisible Monsters, Chuck Palahniuk, Panic at the Disco. And I found out that Brendan Urie actually based Panic's entire first album on a few books by Chuck Palahniuk, Invisible Monsters being one of them. So this book inspired quite a few songs off Panic at the Disco's first album, and I love that album to death. I was like a diehard scene kid. That was one of my favorite albums from like 6th grade to honestly now, like if we're being honest, like absolutely love that album. So I've been listening to that album non-stop since finishing this book. And I just feel like I have such a better understanding of the songs and of the book, and they just enhance each other's experience. And yeah, if you like the song Time to Dance by Panic at the Disco, which is my favorite Panic at the Disco song, it's extremely, not even loosely based, completely based on this book, as well as a few other songs from their first album. And I can't wait to read the other Chuck Palahniuk books that have Panic at the Disco songs based on them, and his other books that don't have anything based on them, because I just think he's gonna be one of my new favorite authors. I think this book is amazing. And I'm so happy, Caroline, thank you for recommending this, because seriously, it's like changing my life. I don't even know how to describe it. This book impacted me so deeply. So yeah, that is everything, all 15 books that I read in this month of February. I hope you enjoyed getting some of my synopsis and reviews of all of these books. Let me know down below what your favorite book you read this month was. And don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.